So recently, I was looking through some of the oldest games I used to play. I don't really do this very often. In fact, I kind of try to stay out of it because I don't want to come across as some old man saying "back in my day" every few seconds. But I just had to talk about Hamsterball. This is one of those games that shaped my childhood quite prominently, and I'm sure you probably never even heard of it. It is about this hamster who is, in a ball, a plastic ball to be specific, racing around incredibly difficult stages. So basically Dark Souls for kids, created by Raptisoft, an indie developer who you may know if you played a more popular game called Chuzzle, as Hamsterball was one of their earlier projects. Blatantly inspired by the arcade game Marble Madness, Hamsterball features very similar gameplay of precisely moving around the levels and dodging obstacles, in the attempt of reaching the finish line, all the while a timer ticked down that would end your progress. Your main goal is to conquer the dreaded tournament mode, passing 15 courses in a row while still having seconds left on your timer. The hamster itself was a very fragile being, as making even the tiniest mistake would result in it dying immediately, making the game extremely reliant on calculated and skillful movement. Also, every time you smash the ball, you would hear this annoying glass shattering sound effect. Which doesn't make sense at all because this ball is made out of plastic, not a glass one. And this effect actually happens to every single enemy in the game too. What the fuck, man? The first course, the warm-up race to be specific, is exactly what it is portraying itself as. It is a simple level meant to be used to allow the player to get comfortable with the controls, all the while featuring this inviting soft pink color scheme in a checkerboard pattern. In fact, every single level features this pattern, but in a different color. This is the main aesthetic of the game. These towering structures made out of entirely one color scheme and the fog covering the rest of the level. It's really interesting. One of the main things you will also immediately notice is just how good the soundtrack is. There is this stupid quote, and I call it stupid because I really hate it, how every single unknown game tends to have a banger soundtrack, and it couldn't be more true for this one. And it sets the mood perfectly for the genius soundtrack progression we will go through. So let us slide down this bridge and enter the beginner race. While the previous race was just a tutorial, this is where the real game begins. Introducing new mechanics in this orange-hued race, such as these booster thingies on corners that could either help you get more speed or completely screw you up if you misuse them. While still inviting, the music is a bit more distant. And the main thread of the course is actually this giant 8-ball that constantly wants to attack you and throw you off. This guy sucks. It isn't really a difficult course in any way. The whole path has these walls or railings helping you stay on track, and passing through it is no problem. This is also when you realize that the world of the game is filled with these tubes. Quite weird. Every single time you advance to the next race, you will gain some seconds back to help you keep moving forward. And this is something you will definitely need in the intermediate race. While the path itself is a bit more challenging, featuring some tubes and an 8-ball enemy, the real danger comes from these hilarious mouse traps that launch you to space as soon as you touch them, and avoiding their massive hitbox can be pretty tough to say the least. This is also where you might first encounter the stun, an effect that occurs when you tend to fall from a high ledge, but not die, stunning your character and preventing control for a slight amount of time. The level features this strange mechanical drawbridge as well, and something you may notice at this point is how winning a race displays these images of different things in a completely different, more cartoony art style of the game. The dizzy race is, well, going to make you feel dizzy, and that is no exaggeration. The music and the color of this course make it seem a little bit funny, as I always saw it as more so a little break after the intermediate level. The two mechanics introduced here are these springing walls that can block your movement and the tar, slowing you down or straight up killing you if you walk into its source. One thing that always bothered me about this level is this one section where you're overlooking an 8-ball far away from you. There is no way to reach this 8-ball, and its inclusion in the level is very mysterious, something that is slowly becoming a theme as we go through these courses. The tower level. The music slaps in this one. This whole course is meant to represent a castle, which is clearly a reference to this other level in Marble Madness. There are catapults that launch you across the race and even 8-balls to fight. This is actually the first course that introduces the option of multiple paths, as you can use 2 roads to complete it. The first part, which forces you to dodge these scary spiky balls slamming down, would allow you to save time and get through the level faster if you're confident enough in your skills to avoid death. While the second path is is much easier, it is also a lot slower. And as they always say, all roads lead to Rome. Or in this case, a massive yellow windmill that is followed up by this monstrosity that keeps trying to eat us. I have no idea what this is, but I am disgusted. What I am also disgusted by is you not being subscribed and not checking out my Patreon. That's obviously a joke. The next race is much less inviting, featuring this deep purple aesthetic with tense music, as it finally feels like we are getting closer to the harder stages. There are these boosters that you need to charge, launching you high above the skies to other parts of the course. There's a lot of precise movement necessary here, and at the end is a red button that you can hit with a precise boost. Unfortunately, this button was pretty much glitched for me half of the time, even when I was a kid, which is a bit of a shame. Blocking our way forward is the unique and bizarre neon race. It really evokes this feeling of what the future could have been like in the early 2000s, and it is one of the more nostalgic levels for that reason. There are yellow lights everywhere and excellent music to go with it. It also features use of the darkness mechanic, as you are constantly challenged by obscure terrain and bridges, forcing you to wait or try your luck in getting a faster completion time. I always found the 8-ball guy kind of cool. While the courses we have talked about so far had some weird mechanics and occurrences, they have all been quite linear in terms of difficulty, only becoming slightly harder or even sometimes dropping that difficulty in favor of a cool gimmick. Not the expert race. This race will unironically hand your ass over to you. It is a major difficulty spike, and that is complemented by this bright red aesthetic and the almost metal-like guitar playing in the background, creating this feeling of despair, as whatever you are facing is far harder than what came before, and that shows almost immediately, as one of the first things you encounter is this massive goddamn hammer that slams you repeatedly. The only way to consistently get past this thing is to zigzag around before you are met with a choice, taking the path with or without the fans. These fans are really difficult to play around. They push you away with immense force, and unless you have the hand of a Greek demigod, you better have high sensitivity on your mouse. The second path is way easier, but also of course way slower, with both leading to these saw blades that cut up the platform you are standing on, easily making you fall and waste your time. They can also of course kill you as well. Nice. You may think that this level is kind of unfair and too much of a spike in difficulty, and to be honest, I don't really think so. I think the level design is immaculate. There is this fan placed before all of the other ones which spins way slower, letting you engage with its mechanics before continuing forward. Due to how the game is meant to be played, you're also expected to train these courses and get better at them, coming back stronger and faster to reach the next one. All of this culminates in this massive drop, where you can get some extra time if you impress these other hamsters who are just, you know, watching? No, like genuinely, why are they watching this and even rating your success? What the actual fuck have we even been playing so far? This is something that you may have been wondering for a while. What is the lore of this game, and is there even any point to it all? I mean, why is there a hamster in a plastic bowl competing in the first place? Who are we competing with? Why the hell are the races just a spam of checkerboard pillars in different colors? Why does the world feel so empty and kind of lonely? And worst of all, what the actual fuck is this gaping mouth? Let's start by going over the information we know. The main source of this quote-unquote lore we get is from the race descriptions provided to us before starting, but they're kind of useless and don't show any real information about the lore itself, so that's a dead end. Our only option is just looking for information inside of the levels themselves. The world seems to be extremely expansive, as in the Dizzy race we can see it stretch far beyond the fog. The hamster and the traps are actually the only realistically drawn parts of the game. Everything else is really cartoony compared to them, especially those almost poorly drawn stage completion portraits. It feels like the hamsters have been placed here by someone or something to endlessly compete in these weird races. But I just needed more information. I needed to extend my reach outwards, and that is what led me to the Hamsterball wiki. There is not much information here at first glance, other than some internal names for the characters and Easter eggs. Like, did you know that the hammer guy is actually called Bonk? Yeah, my life is a lie. The wiki is also where we can learn a lot about the cut content for this game. And if you know me, you know that I'm a big fan of cut content. The only actual notable piece of cut content is that the soundtracks had additional segments that were removed, likely due to how valuable memory was during these early years of computer gaming. While there is not any actual information about potential lore, the 8-ball enemies featured in another one of Raptisoft's games, Hoggy be 2. So these universes may be connected in some way where the 8 balls are the big bad or some shit. I don't know, man. I need to go to sleep. Let's be real, this game has no lore. This is because it was made purely for gameplay purposes. I'm not gonna sit here and act like it does, but it would be so cool if it actually did. So I like to headcanon it does. Cringe me, I suppose. It was also thanks to the wiki I actually remembered this other Hamsterball game for the PS3. This was basically a low-effort port that was completely redesigned with the permission from the developer. And I knew I used to look for this game all over the place on the internet back in the day, not even knowing it comes from the PS3. And looking back, that's probably a good thing, as this game isn't actually that good, being a third-person reskin with extremely lazy level design. But this world does indeed feel quite lonely. It may not have been very apparent to you since this video has had the game's soundtrack playing all this time, but let's see what happens when we remove the music. Oh whoa, yeah, that is quite an atmosphere. There is something kind of calming but also unnerving, just sitting in these worlds or moving around slowly, looking around without much of worry about the timer. It is this endless expanse of pillars and void, all engulfed in a checkerboard pattern of different colors. Like, who are we? What are we even doing here? It is enough to give you an existential crisis. But enough about that. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope that you had a great new year, and I hope Odd Race is a course where the game plays with gravity and size, having a similar vibe to the beginner race with a lighter shade of orange, indicating just how far you have come. This is a common theme with these later levels, as all of them are just remixes of the previous ones in terms of colors, which I think is a nice touch indicating that we have passed the halfway point of the tournament. I always found it funny how the hamster just falls off the map if you don't know what you're doing here. There is this segment where you become tiny and need to get past an 8 ball. It's pretty cute. Finally, there are these weird golden 2D balls. These things make no sense and feel pretty rushed, so their inclusion in the level always kinda puzzled me. Now for the tube race, or as the game likes to call it, tube race. This is likely the course with the most enemies. There are goddamn saws everywhere messing you up no matter where you stand, and these stupid box guys that are honestly useless. Like, genuinely, man, what is this thing? There is a pretty unique aesthetic here with these yellow transparent tubes everywhere, and they contrast well with the deep blue patterns. Sliding through them is pretty satisfying. It even comes with a reintroduction of the boosters from the beginner race here as well, while allowing us to take 2 different paths. The wobbly level, the bane of my childhood. This is one of those major difficulty spikes and is debatably right up there with the expert race. The only gimmick of this course is that almost everything you touch wobbles and creaks, and that is exactly what makes it so difficult, requiring immense skill and control to pull off flawlessly. I could never get this course down no matter how much I've tried. I think I've always died on it at least once. That is how hard it is. This last obstacle is likely the most annoying too. Love the level though. Thankfully the next one isn't as hard, that being the glass course. And wow, I think this is more so an ice course due to how slippery you are, not glass. No idea what the devs were cooking up here. The atmosphere here is fantastic. Glass is likely the warm-up course turned upside down, as it acts as a warm-up to the hardest level of the game that is soon to come. I never found it too difficult, but I don't think it needs to be. It is sort of this break level where you can catch a breather, and it serves that purpose wonderfully with its slippery gimmick. You can also boost yourself and shatter this glass to earn more seconds, but I found doing this kind of difficult and not worth it. The penultimate level, and you will see what I mean by that later, is the Sky Race, one of the simplest yet most difficult courses yet. It plays with this unique atmosphere and style. I really like the low-res clouds in the background that populate the level. All the movement is done on these thin bridges. That's it, there are no terrain gimmicks and nothing off the beaten path. A lot of the level can make you feel dizzy more than the actual dizzy race, because everything is so samey on purpose and it's hard to orient yourself where you can go, especially with a time limit. Fortunately, there are some nice skips here and there to save time. The main thread is this massive magnifying glass which chases you around and burns you. I have no idea what the point of this is, don't ask me. There's also this annoying segment with these springing things that is purely RNG, so they can cause a bit of a time loss. Finally, as one last fuck you before the finish line, you will be attacked by this weird star ball. Every race so far either introduced a new gimmick or played slightly with some gimmicks seen before, but not the almighty Master Race, a half monochrome level focusing on truly testing your skills to the absolute limit, forcing you to play around every single gimmick you have seen so far at the exact same time. And if that wasn't enough, there are many of these absolutely nightmarish segments where mastery is required, all while it plays the best soundtrack in the entire game. One that feels like it was made to make you feel that despair kicking in, but also encouraging you in some weird way. You came this far and you can go farther. You can truly become the master of hamsters. I would have to say that the level design of Hamsterball is likely its greatest strength. I truly think it is far ahead of its time. There is nothing like mastering these courses and seeing them fumble before you, which is where the other parts of the game come in, such as the party challenges where you and your friends, or in my case family, could compete in fights, using many different styles from the courses you have completed. The way to unlock these was finding a secret key in every single course. My personal favorite was the mousetrap one. I love how easy it is to get pushed into these and fly across the whole screen. I wish these weren't purely local. With most gaming being done online these days, I would have loved to play this again, purely by how hilarious and fun it is. But it does not end there, as there are actually many, and I mean many, speedruns of the game thanks to its general structure, which naturally supports speedrunning. Although I'm not really sure if this was intentional. The current world record holder is Exoanon, with a whooping time of just 8 minutes and 37 seconds. This run utilizes many absolutely insane skips that may or may not be intentional by the developers. The Dizzy race can be absolutely broken in half, while the Master race has these spots on the map I didn't even know existed until I saw them on this run. Speedrunning itself is actually immensely skillful and convoluted, way more than I could have ever imagined, as it is actually recommended to use your dominant hand for the mouse with high sensitivity while using the keyboard with the other. It makes sense how the top runner was able to achieve such a fast time. The amount of practice that must have gone into this is incredible. If we extend our reach outwards even more, we can notice that the modding scene is also extremely active. Mods for this game are all over the place, which is to be expected, but some of the most fun ones definitely come in the form of custom levels, like this one by ClickTuck. I have genuinely no idea how to even play this, and it looks to be very buggy, but it's cool either way. There's even a goddamn Mario 64 remake in the game, but I think the most ambitious mod is definitely the Hamsterball Reimagined project. This mod supports better resolutions, and it is the one I used to record the footage for this video. But it also remixes the whole goddamn soundtrack, with some of the songs being even better than the original. Most of this stuff happens around the tiny yet determined Hamsterball Discord community, where I've also learned that Raptisoft is working on Hamsterball 2 as we speak, featuring an in-game level editor and in general a lot more polish. Oh yeah, there was also this mod made for April Fools that is literally Hamsterball slop. I wish I was joking, but it's there. My god. And finally, let us talk about the exclusive interview about the game by Dadoyev. I have no idea how to spell that name. Raptisoft mentioned how the only reason why Hamsterball was even made was because he was so passionate about Marble Madness, wanting badly to one day remake it. He started working on the game around the time he was working for PopCap. Wow, what a crazy coincidence. This meant that he could only really work on the game during the evenings and the weekends. But despite this, it was so fun working on the game that it didn't matter. And while progress would be slow, it was very satisfying. The level design was made with immense trial and error, while much less time was spent on the engine itself, which makes sense considering how magnificent the level design turned out due to that sacrifice for a few bugs and unpolished features. And the reason why the game features such a realistic hamster in this abnormal setting is actually because it was meant to be the only cohesive thing in this game world. Raptisoft asked the guy to model it, who likely lifted it and pretty much scammed him, making the model available to download somewhere. Despite this, the game kept being made, and the beginner race is, according to the developer, the worst race in the game, as it is the most rushed level due to the required difficulty spike between the first and the third. The wobbly race, the one that is literally the definition of stress and loss of patience, was made during an extremely tough time in Raptisoft's life, which basically is the developer's raw anger and stress contained in a single level. But I think my favorite part of this interview is that one physics argument he had with his programmer. The hamster going uphill was something the person who originally coded it never wanted to include, due to it literally breaking the definition of real-life physics. But this is a video game where none of that matters, so Raptisoft basically just said screw that and wrote his own system, allowing for these different outcomes and scenarios, and making the game better in the long run. All of this was happening during PopCap's transition from a passionate indie studio to a business, which eventually in 2005 culminated in Hamsterball being nominated for Arcade Game of the Year at a competition, matched against Popcast's flagship game at a time, Zuma, a game I also played a lot as a kid. Hamsterball ultimately won this competition, likely because the people voting didn't really like PopCap. I think there is something really inspiring in the story. It was just a guy making something he enjoyed, not liking the direction his job was heading in. He just wanted a break from that. What he ended up creating thanks to that is some of the best moments I've had playing games as a kid. And while I think Hamsterball 2 has a lot of potential to be a pretty good game and even surpass the original, I think that can only happen if Raptisoft still loves working on the game. Also, this video and interview is pretty good, check it out. This is where I was originally going to end the video, but I actually lied to you. The Master Race is not the final race in the game. In fact, there is one more race I refuse to talk about until now. Do you remember that feeling of desperation and just raw difficulty the expert race provided? The red checkerboards and the drowning rock music that made it feel like you stood absolutely no chance at finishing it. Enter the impossible race. This completely industrial level consisting of red cogworks everywhere, a crimson atmosphere, and the darkest and most despair-inducing track in the game. One that truly feels like there is no victory in sight. Like, what are we even doing here? This isn't what Hamsterball was about. The obstacles in this course, oh man, every single one is nightmarishly crafted just to screw you over. You will be going over tiny gaps, something that this game has never even used before, these sections of timing your movement on platforms, and worst of all, this strange bridge. I remember being a kid and struggling my hardest to pass this level, failing every single time. The time given to me on the timer was just not enough, and no matter how good I was, I would always fumble and fail. This was before the time of online guides, before the time you can just search up anything on YouTube and get an answer. So the only thing I could rely on was myself. I don't remember exactly when I've stopped playing Hamsterball, but I know that the game started fading from my memory when I started playing more games. And it was not until recently that I actually played it again. I think the impossible race is the best race in the game, and after God knows how long, I finally completed it. And to be honest, it wasn't even that hard. To me, this course, despite all of its nightmarish obstacles and the music, is the most hopeful one, and beating it truly makes you feel like a king. It speaks to me on a really personal level, that if you try hard enough, you can pretty much overcome anything. I know that I am probably misinterpreting the meaning of any of this, but I doubt the game would be this fond in my memory if not for this race and the times I've had with it. Beating Hamsterball displays an old school menu where you can type your name, showing your high score. But what now? What is the hamster going to do next, and where will the journey take it? And that's the thing, I don't know what's next. I don't think my child self knew either, and I doubt the developer of this game knew what the release could unfold. But that's okay, because this hamster might just be the reason why I keep going sometimes. I am really happy that this game was not forgotten. The countless memes, custom levels, and even the music remixes are some of the coolest shit I've seen in a long time, and I hope you all feel the same way. I hope Hamsterball 2 eventually releases and it's a good game, but I also hope the developer is taking care of himself too. It's been over a decade since the release of the original. Thank you for joining me. I really needed a bit of a break from all these hard videos I've been making in recent months, and I think this video was a great way to spend that time. But okay, jokes aside, Hamsterball is an incredible game, and I fully recommend it to anyone to this day. It has aged amazingly, with the level design and the gameplay still holding up. And if you aren't going to play it, I hope this video was a nice little mirror into that world. As always, consider subscribing, check out my Patreon to support the channel and get access to a Discord server with exclusive videos, and have a damn good night.